The 2022 Hyundai Kona N. Is it a hot hatch? Is it an SUV? What does the N treatment even mean? How's this thing do in terms of driving, styling, and interior? Let's go ahead and take a look. Hashtag Conan. Hello and welcome. My name is Jason. Today I'm in the 2022 Hyundai Kona N. Kona N is a little bit of a strange creature, this thing. It's got a little bit of a lift to it. It is technically a subcompact crossover, but it is really more hot hatch because it's got the N-ized treatment. You know, it's got the N treatment from the Elantra N and from the Veloster N. So we've got a limited slip differential or front wheel drive only. We've got the 2-liter turbo, 276 horsepower, 289 pound-feet of torque, where that peak hits starting around 2100 RPM, nice and low in your rev range. But that lift kind of puts it into its own category because it's really mostly hot hatch other than that little bit of extra ground clearance. We're up at 6.8 inches off the ground versus like my GTI is 5.1 off the ground for reference. Now, unlike the other N cars, you do not get the manual option in this one. It only has the 8-speed dual clutch transmission. It's a wet dual clutch, nice and precise. You do lose a little bit of fuel economy over a dry dual clutch, but these shifts are nice and precise, nice and quick. The paddle shifters here actually feel pretty nice, probably nicer than the Audi I was in. Strangely enough, even though the rest of the cabin is definitely screaming economy at me, but the steering wheel itself is very nice, as is this digital layout. But if you don't like the way the car shifts and you don't want to shift for yourself, you can adjust that because we have different driving modes. We have a sport, we have a normal, we have an eco, and there's even a snow mode. And if you don't like any of those, you also have 2 custom N modes, and you can get into those N modes with these nice big beefy buttons on the steering wheel, which I love. And if you actually don't want those buttons to go into your N modes, then you can change these buttons and make them do something else. You can adjust your steering, you can adjust your suspension, you can adjust the exhaust noise, you can adjust the shift points, you can adjust the limited slip differential, your traction control, you try to get yourself a little bit of oversteer. You can even tell it you don't want it to creep when you're in traffic if you have your foot off the brake. You can tell it, which is just the level of customization is really wonderful in this car. Now, you do have all those different options, but at the same time, even when you're in eco mode, eco is used a little bit loosely here. You can actually get around, I was getting 24, 25 miles per gallon with mixed driving in eco mode. So not too terrible, but even you can hear that it's still shifting pretty aggressively. It's still shifting around 3-4 grand. And when you come slowing down, when you slow down to a stop, it can get a little bit jerky even when you're in eco mode. So that's a little bit of a strange thing. It's pretty aggressive. And as you change through your modes, this whole layout actually changes. It gets a little more aggressive as you go up in terms of coloring, in terms of styling. And once you go into your full N mode, then it takes away your fuel economy. You can't see how your fuel economy is doing anymore, not that you would want to. And it gets a nice big tack in the middle. I love the layout of that. I love the way the steering wheel is laid out as well. As a driver, this is just, everything is nice and accessible, and those big N buttons that I mentioned, the paddle shifters that I mentioned, really comfortable steering wheel. Absolutely love this. And I've been, I threw this through some corners last night and really had a good time with it. You can definitely feel the lift. You can feel the higher center of gravity when you're going through corners hard, but it's still confident. It's still pretty sticky, though if it starts getting wet out, we're on 19s with P0 summer tires on them. That is the standard tire. There's no other tire option, no other wheel option. And in the wet, they haven't been the best, but in the dry, they're nice and sticky. And even with, the big roll for this from the center of gravity being up higher, you still feel like you're pretty sticky to the ground. Now this steering is nice and heavy, especially in that sporty setting. It's pretty light in eco mode, but if you put it in the sportiest setting, it gets nice and heavy. I really like that. A little bit of communication, the steering rack is not the same as the one in the regular Kona. It should be different. It's good that you get a little bit more communication than the standard Kona, but you also get a bit of weight to it. And in the highest setting, I really love how heavy it gets, but you can still throw it around pretty hard. Now I mentioned that it's 276 horsepower, but we do have this N-Grin shift mode. It's like an overboost. It'll give you 10 extra horsepower for 20 seconds. So it's kind of a fun thing. I just don't know that I would really use it too much. And as far as features go, for driving features, we do have cruise control. We don't have adaptive cruise. We just have standard cruise control. And we do have blind spot monitoring. That is standard. It'll give you a little tone. It'll kind of take over, it'll turn your sound down a little bit and give you a tone that's very obvious that you're about to, go into someone. It supposedly has lane departure warning. I haven't been able to find that. There's like a lane centering here on the steering wheel that actually works really well. It's one of the better lane centering systems that I've been in. It really does keep you right in the middle pretty well. You can almost take your hands off the wheel, not that you ever should, but it does work very well. But I haven't found anything that's like more of a lane departure warning or anything like that.
Painted in racing red, we've got a more subdued look here as compared to the other N cars. Interestingly, this one is only available in black, red, or white. No performance blue color like you get in the Elantra or the Veloster. Somewhere between a hot hatch and a small SUV, we're sitting at 102.4 inch wheelbase and 6.9 inches off the ground. 19-inch wheels wrapped in extra sticky summer performance tires are the only option here. Black mirrors with blind spot monitoring, and if you want a sunroof, you're going to have to move to Australia or some other market that offers the premium trim. Up front, we're looking at a black grille, which contrasts the red nicely. Some good venting, though I did hear some complaints of heat soak in some of the markets with hotter climates, so maybe not quite enough venting or not quite enough cooling going on. LED lights here don't provide the greatest visibility at night. I wish they provided just a little bit more distance. LEDs in the back, and a nice traditional hatch here opens up into 19 cubic feet of space here behind the second row. Again, pretty on par with other hatchbacks like the GTI and the Mazda3, and we don't have the extra bracing back here like we have in the Elantra N, so you do get full use of the space back here, and we've got a 60-40 split on the seats. And of course, underneath the hatch, we've got the nice big dual exhaust pipes, which provide some of the best sound of any 4-cylinder turbo out there, at least any stock 4-cylinder. The interior is far from premium, and it's pretty obvious that the money here went towards performance. The seats are a bit stiff and not particularly comfortable, but they're heated and they're bolstered aggressively to keep you in place on those tight turns. No cooled seats here in the North American market. Hard plastics abound, rival the GR86, but the important things are done well. The steering wheel is comfortable and the buttons are laid out well, nice and easy to use. Customizable buttons for easy access to features you want to use often. A digital gauge cluster behind the wheel is crystal clear, sleek, and modern. It changes with your modes by default, but you can tell it to stick to the one you like best if you want. N mode puts you into a simplified view with a big old tack in your current gear, just as it should be. Noticeably absent from this view is your current fuel economy. The infotainment is clean and clear and works well. Some of the menus can be tough to find, and I still haven't quite figured out how to consistently get the N custom mode settings up on the screen, but that screen gives you levels of customization any car enthusiast will enjoy using to fine-tune your experience from the daily commute, spirited back road driving, or the track. An N performance view gives you everything you need to know on those track days as well, which is still super weird to say in something classified as a crossover. Wireless charging here is great, but I wish there was a little cutout here because Android Auto is wired and so is Apple CarPlay, and that leaves you with the typical sort of where do I put my phone problems. Music pumps through a Harman Kardon sound system. Glad they made the premium audio standard here. I think that was a good move. It sounds pretty good, not the top of the line, but certainly a step up from the base audio here, though it's fairly loud in here, so you're not going to get super clear audio anyway. 35 inches of legroom in the back is pretty standard for hatchbacks and compacts. Fine if you're average or short. I'm 5'7" and I'm okay. Tough for rear facing seats, but you'll be okay with front facing seats. So is it a hot hatch or is it an SUV? At the end of the day, does it even matter? You can track it, you can daily it, you can set it up to be fairly calm and composed or rowdy and loud. It's far from luxury, but the sound, the excellent DCT, the little bit of ground clearance, and the usable space result in a practical car that will put a huge smile on your face every time you drive it.